In this video, I'd like to introduce you to magic moves. Magic moves is what makes you discover the beauty in chess. Now, what makes anything beautiful? We listen to music that moves us. We say it's beautiful. We watch movies that absolutely melts our heart and we say it's beautiful. We look at a picture and it's beautiful. So, what makes things beautiful in chess? I believe it's magic moves, right? So while beauty is still in the eye of the beholder, I personally feel that the experience of seeing this beauty and more importantly, cognitively understanding this beauty in chess is what makes one expand their mind. So I'll just take an example of a particular game and let's see how we can go from there. Let's get started. So take a moment. I mean, by a moment, I'm saying at least a minute or two to assimilate this position, understand what's happening, and then try to find out the best move. And please treat it like an exercise. Take a pen and a paper and write down your top 3 choices of moves. Okay, just write down the top 3 choices of the move that you would make if you were to be playing black in this position. Once you're done, click on next to see the answer. The answer is Queen b5. This is magic in chess. Now, if you don't know the nuances involved here, it might look like just another move. In fact, for many a beginner, this might look like a big blunder. But this is amazing. And again, to reiterate what I just said in the beginning, beauty does lie in the eye of the beholder. I'm going to try and deconstruct it here so that you can understand it a little better and maybe appreciate it, and in the process, see your mind expand. So why is this beautiful? The first thing is, most of these magic moves have one quality in them. They're extremely counterintuitive. Like, it almost feels like it's a blunder. It's like a sacrifice. Right? So in this case, b5 is a square that's firmly in white's control. Right? The bishop is controlling it, the knight is controlling it. To move a queen there seems like a double landmine blunder. But still, there is so much depth to it. The second feature that I've seen in all beautiful magic moves is that they're zugzwang moves. They're forced responses. They force responses from the opponent. Like here, it's not a move that you can ignore and go along doing something else. There's usually a threat. It's forced in all variations. Like ignoring this move means there is possibly a checkmate waiting to happen. And finally, there are multiple motifs. Motifs are nothing. If you've seen one of my previous videos, you'd say that motifs are nothing but, designs that are patterns that emerge in chess. So there are multiple motifs coming together, right? So it's cognitively intensive. The analogy I'd like to give you is with taste or with food. Sometimes food can be really intense when you have different kinds of tastes coming together. You have something that's sweet, that's bitter, that's savory. It's all mixed up together. It's extremely intensive. It kind of puts your entire palate in a swirl, and it's like absolutely out of this world. Right? So the mind loves the complexity of something that's very intensive. And when a chess move has all these different motifs coming together, it becomes very cognitively intensive. Now, this is great. We know what makes or what leads to something becoming a magic move, but let's understand it at depth for this particular position. So the first option, very obvious, would be like, why not bishop takes queen? Right? What happens then? And the answer is knight can move to b3 and it's a checkmate. I mean, it's a fork as well because it's a fork between the king and the queen, but it's a checkmate. The king cannot move anywhere. Right? So the motive involved here is remove the defender. So now if you look at it from a different perspective, you'll realize that the checkmate was always waiting to happen. Knight just had to come to b3. The only person stopping it from coming there is the bishop. So you remove it by attracting it to b5, by distracting it from c4, by bringing a queen, sacrificing a queen, and getting it out. That's the motive involved. Now let's think of a next possibility. Bishop doesn't take it, knight takes it. Still the bishop controls b3, but in this case, you are pinning the defender. You can still do knight b3 check, and the bishop can't kill it because the rook is pinning the bishop against the king. The bishop cannot capture it. Therefore, it's still a checkmate. Now that's really, really intensive because it's not an obvious pin. It's an extremely subtle pin. There are 3 pieces between the king and the rook. 2 of them are getting distracted, and the one that's left is under pin. And that is what makes this particular move amazing. The third one. What if I ignore this? I don't capture the bishop at all. In that case, queen takes b2 checkmate is waiting to happen. So something has to be done here. Either you got to move your rook or you got to move your queen. But you got to do something here. You've got to do something to kind of prevent the checkmate. So there's a mate threat. And the fourth one is there's a capture threat. If you don't do anything, it's quite possible that I could just capture the bishop, especially if you're going to move your queen to d2 to support the b2 pawn. So these are all the different motifs that are at play here, something that is going to change the very essence of the game. And this is what makes it such a beautiful, amazing move. So if you have any other ways in which you could defend this, maybe you can think about it and leave your comments in the comment section. Alright, the final part was, it's actually kind of like a fork, right? The queen b5 is both threatening checkmate and attacking the bishop. Alright, so now when you look back into our checklist, it is counterintuitive, it is forced moves, it is multiple motives, and finally there's a drastic change in fortunes. After this, the game that was almost equal has suddenly tilted completely in black's favor. What can we learn from magic moves? This is my next steps. Magic moves will expand your mind, help you discover beauty. So you've got to see this. So you can look for moves, typically in Grandmaster games, where these kind of moves which are not very intuitive, but the analysis of which will help you discover beauty. It helps you strip the unnecessary and helps you focus, laser focus on the principles involved in chess. It will improve your calculation and finally your recognition of motifs and forward swing moves, all of which is going to make you not just level up, but move to a completely different plane as a chess player. I hope you find this video helpful, and if so, please do share it, like it, click on the subscribe button and click on the bell icon so that I can see you in the next video. Thank you so much.